Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this flow today. So today we're going to be working into firefly and arm balance. You don't need any equipment, but if you usually practice with blocks, then feel free to grab whatever it is that you need, straps, blocks, whatever. And I'll meet you in a nice child's pose when you guys are ready. So let's take a big toes together, knees nice and wide. Sink the forehead onto the ground, torso in between your inner thighs. Have your arms by your sides, have the palms facing up. And allow the creases in the forehead to be gently stretched out by your mat. Maybe a gentle massage of your third eye, rocking side to side, if that feels nice. Maybe wiggling the jaw around until you release any tension in there. And as you come and sink yourself further down into your mat, allow yourself to just be. To focus on what's happening right now within your physical body, what's happening in your breath. Forgetting about what's happened before you came onto your mat. So from here, we'll set our breath, our intentional breathing as you start to inhale through the nose, exhaling through the nose. And see how this newfound breath feels, knowing that now you consciously control each breath rather than having the breathing control you, if that makes sense. Deep inhales through the nose, exhaling through the nose. And making sure you can maintain this breath throughout this whole practice. As you start to reach your arms out in front of you, have your hands nice and wide. Index finger leaves faces forwards. Be so grounded into your points of contact, so the hands and the shins, that the elbows and the forearms lift. Squeezing the two forearms together to engage into the pecs. As you inhale, roll forward, find your cat pose, and as you exhale, settle into a tabletop, knees underneath the hips. Have the toes tucked, spreading into 10 toes, making sure that the little toes are grounded. Inhale, drop the belly, pull the chest through for your cow pose, and as you exhale, round it in, chin towards the chest. Let's do a few more in your own time. Really beginning that movement with breath. So if you've taken my classes before, you'll know that cat-cow is one of my favorite two transitions that I like to start a class. So if this is your first time moving, then know that you don't have to go into the arm balance. You can just enjoy the transitions. Even if it's your first time flowing, you don't usually take a vinyasa class, or if this is your first time practicing yoga altogether, just do your best, right? That's all you need to do, is just do your best. And if it feels too fast for you, you can either try it again or take a different, more of a slower approach to yoga, and then rejoin when you're ready. Let's do one more cat, round it in, and then coming into a neutral spine. Let's warm up into the wrist as you shift forwards and backwards. So again, if you taken my classes before, especially in person, you'll know that I really advocate for warming up into your wrists, right? Your wrists, your hands are the foundations in your yoga. We do a lot of weight bearing stuff, especially in arm balances. So I really encourage you to warm up into the wrist. And if you need a little bit more time, the great thing about your videos is that you can pause it. Let's turn the fingertips towards you. Now, if this is too intense, you can scooch the knees further forwards. If it's not, then scooch the knees further back. You can just gently keep the knuckles grounded and then lift the palms up and then rock forwards and back. Or you can stay still. As always, being mindful here. Just take one more big inhale. And then as you exhale, let's turn the palms up, fingertips towards you, other direction. You can bend and straighten into the elbows. And again, if it feels too much, go a little bit closer to the hands. You can flicker the fingers. And then just shake it off. Come into a seated position, whatever that may look like for you. We're going to stretch the arms forward, spread into the fingers. So have that flexion going, and then just flicker the fingers. Flick, 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 flick. Find as much length as you can, go a little bit faster, spread a little bit more. Now, I've had an operation in my right hand, and you can tell that when I flicker, there's a little bit of resist. It's not as mobile, right? Because I'm always strengthening mainly into my right arm. And, you know, that's the way my body is right now. But this is really, really important. That's why I'm really like, you need to strengthen into the wrist, especially if you do a lot of yoga. And it really does change your practice. Let's go a little bit faster. Let's go for 10, 9, breathe, 8, 7, 6, a little bit faster, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake it off. Woo. And then let's come into your first downward dog when you're ready. Lifting your hips up and back. And then for your first downward dog, so make it your very first and own downward dog, you can pedal it out, add a bit of movement, sway into the hips. You can lift the leg up, maybe staying still, there's more for you, just do whatever. Before I start cueing, I know that with the cues, they are just basic guidelines. If you're looking for anything specific, it's always a good idea to go for private. And always tuning into your own body. If you're a regular practitioner, then hopefully you'll know what feels right for you right now. So finding a little bit of stillness here if you haven't already. I want a nice long spine here. So if this is your first, don't be afraid to bend into knees. Always looking for a nice slope along your spine. Squeezing the two forearms together. The gaze is towards the toes. Have the head hang nicely between the bicep. Not a requirement, but just a suggestion as always with all the cues. Keep sending your sit bones back behind you, engage into the last 3 ribs. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. As you shift the gaze forward, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forwards. Feet about hip width distance apart for this first one, soft bend into the knees. You can again take this opportunity in your standing forward folds to iron out your wrists. Swaying, adding any movement, you can interlace your fingers behind you, pedal it out. Release the arms, hands onto the shins or to the ground or to your bricks. As you inhale, halfway lift, pull the chest through. And as you exhale, fold forward. Press down the legs, the inhale lifts you all the way up, reach the arms high. And then as you exhale, fold all the way back down. Squeeze the inner thighs together as you inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, step back, plank pose, let's hold your plank. And know that you can always drop the knees behind your hips onto the ground for a modified plank pose. I like an engaged plank pose, so think about what can you strengthen into. The neck is nice and long, so the gaze is slightly out in front of you. I'm pressing the ground away from you to keep that activation, and grounding into the inner palms to have that awareness, grounding into my hands. I'm squeezing the two forearms together to engage into my pecs a little bit more. And that means slightly spiraling the inseams of the arms together, not quite turning the elbows forward, but they're just sort of kind of facing each other-ish. I'm hollowing out my belly and the ribs, engaging. Everything is switched on. Breathe. So nothing changes as we shift it forward. Now, in my classes, I shift the shoulders over the fingertips if the wrist allows me to engage into the pecs a little bit more. So this is why it might feel a little bit harder. Squeeze the elbows in, lower halfway down. Untuck the toes as you inhale, find your back bend, whether it's your cobra or your up dog. And then as you exhale, let's lift it up, downward facing dog. But hopefully you kind of know the gist of your vinyasa and how it looks like for you, since this is quite I don't want to say advanced, but since there's more challenging postures and flows and transitions. But again, if this is your first time going into yoga, try your best. If it doesn't fit you today, no worries, come back to it at another time. Try something a little bit more slower, a little bit more calmer, a little bit more cueing. Hopefully you can still flow. Shift the gaze out in front of you, slowly walk to the top of the mat, folding forward. Feet hip width or together, up to you. As you inhale, halfway lift, pull the chest through. And then as you exhale, fold forwards. Press down the feet. As you inhale, lift all the way up, reach the arms high. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. And then as you exhale, come back into your plank pose. Second time round. So always think about how can you be a little bit stronger. So if your wrists allows you to today, have your shoulders on top of the wrist. Now, when I see a lot of people in my classes in their plank pose, they kind of, what I try to kind of advocate in my classes is, how do you find strength? And then how can you balance the strength work with softness, right? So you want to be able to feel like your postures are light, they're not heavy. So in this case, can you press the ground away from you a little bit more to engage into the core? And then that way, hopefully, it will take the weight out the wrist, and just a tiny smidgen. I'm squeezing the inner thighs together, pelvis is engaged, or yeah. I can't speak. I'm tired. Nice long neck. We're human, we're breathing. Everything is engaged. Quads are switched on, right? So nothing changes. As we shift it forward, squeeze the elbows in, lower halfway down. Tricep push-up, Chaturanga. Untuck the toes as you inhale, find your back bend. And then as you exhale, downward facing dog. Let's move a little bit faster. Shift the gaze forward. Slowly step, jump, float to the top of the mat. Folding forwards. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forwards. Press down the legs. Inhale, lift you all the way up. Reach the arms high. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back. Plank pose. Lower halfway down, Chaturanga. Point 10 toes. As you inhale, find your back bend. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. So as we hold downward dog, feel free to come to a child's pose at any point. Notice how this downward dog feels now, that hopefully you're feeling a little bit warmer. Keep grounding into the inner palms. Can you keep sending the kneecaps forwards? Nice and strong. As you inhale, lift your right leg up, three-legged dog. Keep the hip points facing forwards. Can you find a little bit more length? And then now, as you exhale, roll the hip open. Maybe send the heel towards the glute. Roll around into the hip. Keep sending the left kneecap facing forwards, so it doesn't kind of sway towards the right or whatnot, yeah? Let's lift high into your left toes. Take a full breath in, three-legged dog. And as you exhale, right knee, right armpit. Hollow it out, coming into that one-leg plank. You can always drop the left knee down if that feels better. Slide it down to the right wrist, to the left wrist, to the left armpit, to the right armpit. Yes, to the right wrist, to the left wrist, to the left armpit. One last time, to the right armpit, to the right wrist, to the left wrist, to the left armpit. Hold, twist. Spin that back foot down, fallen triangle. Extend your right leg to the left. Lift your left arm up. Maybe reach your top arm over the head. Nice side stretch. Land your left hand down, three-legged dog, right leg lifts. And then as you exhale, knee to nose. Press the ground away from you. Take one more big inhale. And as you exhale, step your right foot forward. Nice wide base, railway track, not a tight rope. As you rise all the way up, coming into a high lunge. So again, if you've taken my classes before, you'll know that I like a high lunge, not a long lunge where we sink into the hip flexor, right? Nothing against that, but I just prefer a high lunge just because it keeps me a little bit more activated. I'm not just sinking into my joints and flexibility, right? So hip points remain facing forward, and I've got a soft bend in my back knee because a little bit of injury and a little bit tighter in this left hip flexor. Front knee on top of the ankle roughly, and it's facing forwards. Knees are always in the same directions as the toes, don't forget. Reaching the arms up. Engaging into the last three ribs. Take a full breath in. And then as you exhale, bow down halfway, sweep the arms back. And as I sweep the arms back, I'm pulling my right hip back, yeah? So it's not sticking out behind to the side. Inhale, lift all the way up, reach the arms high. And then as you exhale, tip it down halfway, sweep the arms back. One more like that. As you inhale, lift. And then as you exhale, back, pause here. Squeeze an imaginary ball between the hands. And then hips are on the same plane here, but we're pulling that right hip back and the left hip up, because you notice that this left hip might start to sag down. Keep squeezing into the inner thighs, engage into the pelvic floor. Take one more big inhale. Press a lot into that right foot. And as you exhale, spring to the top of the mat, left knee tucks in. Take a full breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, send your left heel towards the glute and match knee to knee. Here. Hands together, heart center. We're going to slide your left knee down your right leg, coming into a shrimp squat. Leaning the chest forward, hip back behind you. Yeah, so as I send my hip back, the right knee will go back. And then lift it all the way up. Yes, nice and strong. Let's do two more just like that. Slide it all the way down. And then lifting all the way back up. Let's do one more as you slide it all the way down. And then lifting all the way back up. Left knee tucks in. Use the strength of the hip flexor and the lower belly to lift the knee up. Don't cheat yourself. Take one more big inhale. And as you exhale, warrior three. Whatever warrior three that may look like for you. And again, keep this left hip down, right hip up and back. Nice and strong in this left leg. As you start to bend into your front leg, take a pause here. See if you can really get the belly to touch the thigh as you pull that right knee back. Take one more big inhale. And as you exhale, tap the left toes down. Let's lift it back up, high lunge. Take a full breath in. And as you exhale, extend your front leg, sweep the arms to the side wall. Keep squeezing into the inner thighs, nice and engaged. Inhale through the nose, and as you exhale, tip it down halfway. As you tip it down halfway, engage into the core pelvic floor. There's a soft bend in that right leg, so you're not hyper extending, but take one more big inhale, 10 toes point forwards. And as you exhale, land your fingertips to the mat or to a brick. And then adjust your hips a little bit more. Take a full breath in, right hip goes back and up. And then as you exhale to fold, come to an extended pyramid pose. Keep that back heel lifted. If it doesn't feel good, you can spin it down for a more traditional stance. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, pivot the toes towards the left, long side of the mat. Standing wide leg forward fold, pigeon the toes slightly in. Inner arches lift, heels slightly out, and then take a forward fold. Anything you like to do with the arms, go for it. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, turn your left toes out. Slightly bend into this left leg, but keep this left heel down. Stick the bottom back behind you, and then just do tiny little bounces into that left leg, coming into like a Skandasana sort of vibe. Warming up into the groin. And then come back to center, pivot the toes towards the long side of the mat. And then as you exhale, slightly turn your right toes out, keep the heel grounded and slightly bounce. And then coming back into your standing wide leg forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, let's scooch your feet a little bit closer. Bend into the knees. Okay, so we're gonna pretend that these legs are like a backpack. So with your hands, you're gonna snuggle your left shoulder underneath this left knee. You lift your bottom up a little bit higher. Really get snuggle, snuggle, snuggle. And then you're gonna do the same with the other side. This is quite a nice shoulder, I say nice loosely, shoulder opener. Nestle yourself underneath. Hands are behind your heels. Squeeze the knees in towards the shoulders. Hollow out the belly. Press the ground away from you. And then maybe you lift up onto the tippy toes. Maybe you lift one leg up at a time and then the other. Or maybe you lift and then cross the ankle. So this is quite intense as it is. Gaze is slightly out in front of you. You can always adjust yourself. And then, or if it's in your range of motion today, you can begin to extend. Nearly fell over there. Let's try on this side. So I'm going to face forwards, and then I'm going to show you a little bit more. and ground, and extend. Squeeze and extend. Lift. Yes. And then come back into your standing wide leg forward fold. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, I'm not sure if hopefully you saw that. Let's pivot the toes towards the top of the mat. Runner's lunge. Land your hands down. Step it back. Downward facing dog. And let's come to the other side. As you inhale, lift your left leg up, hips facing forwards. And then as you exhale, now roll the hip open, maybe bend into the knees. You can roll around. And then coming back into your three-legged dog, square the hips off. Lift your right heel up, and then bring your left knee to your left armpit, roll it into a one-leg plank. Slide it down to the left wrist, to the right wrist, to the right armpit, don't rush, to the left armpit, slide it down, to the right armpit, lift it up, to the left armpit, slide it down, to the right wrist, lift it up, hold, spin the back foot down, fall in triangle, maybe reach your top arm over the head, land your right hand down, three-legged dog, left leg lifts, and then as you exhale, knee to nose, hollow and pause, push the ground away from you, take one more big inhale, exhale, step your left foot forward, squeeze into the inner thighs, let's rise up, high lunge, choosing what works for you with the arms, but see if you can keep the arms lifted, engaging into your belly and into the ribs softly, not overarching into the lower back, which is what I often find if you have that long stance, because we're sort of overcompensating in that hip flexor as well. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, tip it down, halfway sweep the arms by your side. Inhale, lift, reach the arms up, and as you exhale down. One last time as you inhale, lift, and then as you exhale down. Pause, adjust your hips. Maybe go a little bit longer, don't be afraid to move, you're not stuck in one position. Press heavily into that left foot, will spring to the top of the mat, or right knee tucks in. Take a full breath in, nice and tall, and as you exhale, bring your right heel towards the glute. Sliding your right knee down, send your left hip and your left knee back behind you for a shrimp squat, and then lifting all the way back up, nice and strong, the outer hip. One or two more times, slide it down, and then lift. So we're warming up into the hamstrings as well. One last time, slide it down, and then lift all the way back up, tucking this knee in. Right, we do a lot of stretching and lengthening in yoga, not enough strengthening. Take a full breath in, then as you exhale, let's come into your warrior three. Notice what the hips are doing. Can you adjust? Can you keep your chest roughly in line with the hips, nice and strong? Take one more big inhale. And as you exhale, bend into your front leg nice and slow. Tap your right toes down. Let's lift it up, extend your front leg, arms to the side walls. Squeeze into the inner thighs, take a full breath in, and as you exhale, tip it down halfway. Actively stretching into that front leg. Inhale through the nose, nice long spine, pull your left hip back, and as you exhale to fold, land your fingertips onto the ground or to your block. You can spin that back foot down if that feels better. As you inhale, halfway lift, pull the chest through. And as you exhale, pivot yourself towards the right. I'm just going to switch this way so you can see. You're going to turn your right toes out and then just coming into those Skandasana bounces. So sending your sitting bones back behind you. Bend and straighten a little bit into that right leg. And then we take it to the other side. Bounce, bounce, bounce. 3, 2, 1, standing wide leg forward fold. And know that you can always just stay in your standing wide leg forward fold. You don't need to do anything at all. And again, if you want to try, or snuggle your shoulders underneath. Land your hands down, and then find as much length as you can. Extend, squeeze, nice proud chest, and then coming back into your standing wide leg forward fold. Release. Let's interlace your fingers back behind you. Open up the shoulders a little bit more. Release the fingertips as you inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, pivot yourself towards the top of the mat. Runners lunge and then step it back down, shrug. As you inhale, roll forward, find your plank pose. And as you exhale, wave it back, downward facing dog. 2 more like that. As you inhale, roll forwards. Exhale back. 1 last time as you inhale, roll forward. This time we'll shift it forwards, elbows in, lower halfway down. Point 10 toes. As you inhale, find your back bend. And as you exhale, let's drop the knees down, take it into a child's pose. Soften into your breath again. Cool it down. Noticing any sweet sensations. Lifting all the way up. And then we'll come to lie down. We'll hug the knees in. And we'll rock side to side. Let's eagle the legs. So right leg on top of the left. Single. You can double. Or you can just come for a figure 4. Right ankle on top of the left thigh. Take a deep inhale. Just hop your hips over towards the right. And then as you exhale, send the knees to the left. Open the arms if that feels nice. Maybe shift the gaze towards the right. Coming for an eagle spinal twist. Coming back to center. Release the legs, switch it out. Left leg goes on top. Squeeze. Tap the hips to the left. And I'll take the twist. Coming back to center. Release the legs. Give it a good old squeeze of the knees. Rock side to side. Take a full breath into the nose. Feel it all the way to the top. Take a big breath out. Release the legs. Arms by your sides. Palm faces up. Coming into your final pose. So you can stay here for as long as you need to. If you feel ready, we'll gently begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Slowly rolling on to the right. Pressing through the hands, lifting all the way up, coming to a comfortable seated position. Sitting really nice and tall. Wiggling around into the shoulders, into the jaws, into the nostrils if you need to. Until you release any final last bit of tension. Taking this opportunity to notice how this new shape feels. Noticing the openness, hopefully, in the body. The fire within from all of the strength work that we did. Let's take a deep inhale through the nose, feel it all the way to the top. Take a big breath out, release it, empty it out. Bring the hands together and bow the head down. Showing love and gratitude to yourself and to this practice. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time.